What's up, creatives? Up on set from Creative Sound. This is Everything Music Production YouTube channel where we share tips and tricks for everybody from beginner to intermediate, even some advanced folks. I appreciate all you guys that are already subscribed. Make sure you subscribe and like this video. Also visit our shop. I have plenty of gear for you guys. Support the movement. It's a culture. Everybody creative. So of course you guys know Persona's dropped a new update, Studio One 4.5, and I just wanted to focus on a few of them that stood out. Mostly to me, there's maybe 70 plus updates or fixes that involve this update, and I think this is a real big one. It's a real big deal for a lot of people. But just to name a few, like I say, the thing that motivated me in this update was channel input or gain stage, and the ability to activate input and control inputs or the polarity on the channel strip itself. So that means we no longer have to use mix tool to, it's pretty much a plugin we have to add and put on each track, right? We don't have to do that anymore. It's on the channel itself. Chord detection with the listening function. Fill-in notes, which is a MIDI feature that's pretty cool. It invokes ideas and creativity. My boy Craftmaster touched on that, so you could search for his channel and look at that video. It's pretty awesome how he was able to manipulate notes and change things around really quickly. We have real groups now. Sidechain, which is something we can implement rather quickly nowadays. We have a new plugin management, has its own window, and it's pretty cool. In addition to the fill-in notes, there's obviously more MIDI tools available for us, so we can edit with crazy imagination. The one thing that's huge to me is bounce video. We can now bounce our tracks to video instead of utilizing a third-party movie editor software. We can do it now in Studio One 4.5. Now, the other one that's pretty significant is the CPU. How much does the DAW pull, like in regards to resources from your computer, or how it handles plugins inside of the DAW? And so this was something that is listed in the notes as to the efficiency of Studio One. So in my project here, I was working on a song, and I am utilizing several plugins that I know for a fact will pull resources that will cause Studio One to do some stagnant things. You know, it wouldn't really work that well. So if I pull up this window here, seems like he wants to hide behind everything. As you can see, I have a bunch of plugins, and some of the plugins I want to point out to you guys is like, okay, for instance, I'm using the instrument here. Let me see if I can grab this from my other screen back over here to this one. So for instance, in Contact, and I actually have two instances of Contact, and I have in the other instance I have like maybe 2 or 3 instruments. I think it's 2. But like just based on the amount of instruments inside of this plugin itself, I already know that I'm reaching close to capacity, especially with the type of instruments that I'm using. So like, for instance, I know for a fact that when I use output substance or the signal for my bass or other things, I know that these plugins are CPU hogs. So oftentimes what I do is if I'm using these plugins, I'll bounce it down as a wave inside of my project to avoid from having this instrument just there, you know what I mean? Because it pulls a lot of resources. So I'm looking at, here, and it seems to be handling itself pretty well. Now, this is one of those, like I said, this is one of those instruments that I know for a fact that I can't have several instances of this because it's not going to do very well. But I have 2 instances of signal in here, and I also have, like you guys seen, where is it? The other one, substance. Then I have rise in here. Rise don't really affect me that much, but wow, there's 3 instances of signal in here, and as we can see here, I have 3 instances of Contact. As a matter of fact, here's 1, 2, and 3, right? and these things are not pulling that much resource. But we'll kind of see the power of it as we play, because things change when you play. All right, so let's play this track from here. So I must let you guys know that CTC1 also pulls a lot of resources. Now I would say that, like, give or take, depending on how you have your system set up, like this also helps. So I changed this to high, and it's handling itself pretty well. Right now, all of my plugins is seems to be waking up, but earlier this was like only around maybe 50%. Like, I am not lying. So I waited for a while, and things are waking up right now as I'm doing this video. But even while doing this video, it's handling itself really well, and I have a video recording software going at the same time. So again, it's handling itself real, because right about now everything would have cut out and dropped out. It wasn't looking good. So I'm not a scientist. I'm not that great with numbers. I'm not going to go and break down algebra and formulas and things like that. I just know what I see, what I feel. Like it handles a lot more than I know that it handled in the past. So big ups to Personas. They made improvement to how plugins are being handled inside of Studio One. I'm not going crazy with the plugins, but I just kind of left all of this there just because I knew I was doing the video. So big ups there. So what I did here was, as you can see, things look a little crazy. That's because I'm using this scratch pad here, which seems to be pretty cool. I started an idea in a song before, and I was like, you know what, I need to change the vibe. So I started the idea. This side has something totally different, but I'm not going to show you that. This is on version 2, as a matter of fact. Like the versions happened last update, which I am really loving right now. So like, if I go back to the other version, I can get the other thing going on. But this is something I wanted to show you guys, like regarding MIDI. So what they did was, let's see if I can just mess around with something right quick. Let's say, for instance, let's just grab a new piano here, and I'm just going to insert some notes. I'm going to show you. I don't even know if that's right. Let's do it again. Right. So a simple triad chord. All right, let's quantize that. And there's a MIDI command for what I'm doing right now, but I'm just making it hard on myself. But I just want to show you guys this right quick. So, for instance, I duplicate that. So just make that 4. Let's put this over here. Let's see if I can get rid of that and resize this here. And while I'm resizing, let me show you guys this right quick. So if I hit here, here's our like more functions. Like you see, this is pretty cool. Like there you go. For audio, you can go -3 dB plus dB plus 3 dB. Render effects on the fly. I always do it over here somewhere. But I think this, I don't know if this is something different. Global. So yeah, you got these options right here. Plugin manager. Like I mentioned earlier, this is cool. Another way to access that is, I believe, over here. If I was to exit out of that. Oh, wait a second. If I was to go home, here's the other way to access that plugin manager. Looks pretty cool, huh? So you can say what you want to see, eliminate some stuff. I think the way we were doing it before was actually hitting this icon here, this gear icon, and then you can say what you want to see. If you want, and then like your favorites or whatever, you just right click on something to say favorite, and then that's what we had. But now we got plug in. What I like to see is a more so, I like to see this browser redid, like more advanced, because it's, I don't know, it's still kind of, I like Bitwig browser a whole lot better. Let's put it like that. Okay, back to this. So like if I was to go ahead and detect, as you can see, these even this options from right clicking on the region itself was rearranged, and I guess it kind of makes more sense now. But if we was to go here and go to extract, okay, so everything is in G, right? Is that G? Yes, that's G. All right. So I know that this method don't work really well with if you're doing like 7th chords, 11th, it has a hard time trying to pick that stuff. But regular triad chords is on point. So this is what I want to show you. This is the power. So if as long as you have, I don't know if I said that before, but as long as you have this activated, and you got to make sure that, let's see, if we clicked on the track, we'll make sure we following track. Parallel is what I normally click on the chord track itself, and just make sure that you have playhead. And then like I think this is by default. Wait, that sounds pretty good. But oh, that, well, it usually don't sound that good. I don't know what's going on. Okay. Oh, let's do that again. That's what it was. I had it soloed. Okay, so that's the default sound that you guys will hear. But you can go in here and change it back to, what you want. So whatever instrument that you have already loaded in here, you can use that instrument when playing around with the chord track, which is pretty cool. So let's just make sure that we got the, okay. So as you guys see on the keyboard itself, right, I can make those changes, and you see things going on over here, and then you can see my notes change right here, but I don't know where my notes are. So, and I could change it here. Where's my third note? It just disappeared, but you guys get the point. And then here, this is also cool because I can click on it and it'll sample it for me. You know what I'm saying? Now with this, I don't know what happened to that one. So we're just going to delete that and bring this back and do it again. So let's change that. You know what I'm saying? That sounds pretty wacky, but I just wanted to show you guys how cool that was. So like in a situation where you're using this, it just makes it so much better. And I'll say it speeds up the workflow because you can hear what's going on if you're using the chord track in the way, in a creative way, and when you're trying to gain inspiration as to like where you're trying to go next. So you just, you know, kind of play. And what I would love to see next is some type of chord assist or suggestions, like next chord that will make sense. Like if I'm in this C minor here, like what do you suggest would be a possible next progression after that? I know that Cubase does this really well, and you know, I would definitely love to see this implement, because that would be like the whole creative, you know, moving into the creative lane right there. You know, making it smart. Studio One needs to be a little bit more smarter, but I'm grateful for what they're doing. I think this is pretty cool. All right, so the other cool thing is something that my bro Cesar brought out. If you guys are not following him on YouTube, look him up, CZAR. And he did a video and he pointed out that you can actually go in here and get rid of unused instruments, which was something that was not listed in the update notes. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. So for people like me that create music, a lot of times I have instruments right now that I'm not using, like this one. I don't think I'm using that one. Yeah. And you know, sometimes you just have instruments that you're not using. So if I say get rid of it, you know, it'll remove that, which is pretty dope. So big ups to him for mentioning that. And then just to put a visual on what I mentioned earlier, here's your input on your track itself, and then your polarity switches here. Keep in mind when you come here, you have to actually activate that. So you're not going to see it right away. You have to go over here and like turn them on. And then this other one here where it says audio device controls, that's another one. And this talks to your device, your actual devices. So if you got something plugged in, it talks to it that way as well. And it'd be like a second row of this input channel. It looks just like this. I also want to mention that I noticed, and I got in trouble last time for like jumping to conclusion when I made this assumption in the video. I want to say that the MIDI, like when you record notes and things like that, or just whatever, or even using the Atom, because it was the issue with the Atom, because it was just the overall issue with MIDI insert MIDI notes. I want to say that they fixed that problem, since there was a lot of features added and fixes. I think they fixed the MIDI, and so I was able to do some things, and I was impressed with how it captured my chords and notes or whatever I'm doing. It's not perfect, but it's a whole lot better than it was before. And even when I get to, like, as you guys can see, like my instrumentation here is getting up there in numbers, you know, even up here and where the CPU is like almost at capacity. Whenever I insert something here, it's pretty much close to the way that I like it, you know. Big ups. So that's all I have, guys. Stay tuned for more videos as we go through and point some things that I think is pretty useful in the new 4.5. Again, this is Ellip from Creative Sound. Sign it off. Remember, music is art. You the artist. Paint your picture. Stay creative without rules. Visit the shop. I got stuff for you.